we'll have our director of our library start us off.
All right.
When Vincent takes his chair.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good afternoon, friends.
Let's wait for Vincent.
Okay.
Just come sit in front.
Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to this very, very important workshop on publishing. I would like to welcome our guest, Mr. Peter Copper, who is the CEO of Brill, and Mr. Vincent Orchers, who is the resource person today's workshop, and Mr. David Alec from Brill, who is the head of sales at Brill. So welcome to you all. Mr. Peter Copper joined in 2015 and was named CEO in May 2018. Prior to joining, he was working with Springer Nature and was president of corporate and healthcare markets. Okay. Mr. Vincent Orchers works as a marketing manager for EMEA and India at Brill. He studied Egyptology, archaeology, and Arabic at Leiden University. He is a lecturer at academic and public events, and besides working at an academic publisher, he continues to do research and to publish academic research. This workshop is important in the sense that institutions like our university and to research-oriented universities, and the publications are very, very important as an indicator of research in any university. So we like to publish more and we like to publish better. Okay, so that is the purpose, and hopefully this workshop will help you publish better papers and more papers. And so thank you, Mr. Orchers. And I can help you. Thank you. Yes, please.
Yeah, just to add to what the director of the Jindal Global Library said, there's no particular reason for the Jindal School of Government and Public Policy as opposed to the other 7 schools of the university to be co-hosting this. It simply happens that when our friends from Brill came last time, I met them and took them around, and so I've been in touch with them. They could have been in touch with the deans of any of the other schools. But it's kind of it's nice to be in touch with a publishing house that's 335 years old. I mean, it's kind of. I remember that one of the early publications of Brill, there was a Sanskrit scholar, Kern, in Leiden University, who did a book on Aryabhatta, the mathematician. And so, if you want to know where is the first kind of European volume on Aryabhatta, it's Brill. And so there is, therefore there's something for a young university to associate itself with an old publishing house somehow seems to be in the fitness of things. And so I particularly wish to welcome Peter and Vincent and David and Anish from Brill to spare their time to brave the treacherous Viswamil connection from the main road to our campus. We tried to warn them, but apparently they had to see it for themselves, and so they come through it and with us, and so that's really our emphasis, of course. This university is very strong in law and in international law and in humanities, and we are not into medicine and engineering and so on, nor is this publishing house. So there seems a nicer fit in terms of the scholarly interests this university and this publishing house. And so, it's a kind of a, there is something to be said for being in the business for a very long time. I mean, when somebody asked in Cambridge, the gardener, how is it that the lawn looks so good? And he said, well, you just mow it, and you do it for 500 years, and it will look like that. So there's something that comes with that kind of tradition, and that's why we prize an association with Brill, as much as we would do with any of the ancient university presses. But so welcome to all of you for these reasons.
Thank you very, very much for that introduction. I was just thinking about it actually in a different way, because when we were walking on your beautiful campus, I was actually a little bit embarrassed because I had the feeling that Jindal Global University has done more in 10 years than we have done in 335 years. But nevertheless, you made that, you told that story about Oxford. Maybe you indeed can learn something from us how you can reach this age of 335 years, because that is indeed the case. We have been around for a while, but that is not the only reason, and I will come to that, why we feel that we are still relevant. The fact that we were established in 1683 is a given, and we are proud of it. But that's it to a certain level. We focus, as said, on the humanities, social sciences, law, and a bit of biology also. We have offices around the world, in Germany, in Boston, in the USA, Singapore, and China. China was opened only last year, and who knows, we might have an office in India soon as well. We publish around 1,400 new book titles every year, 300 journals, and we have also a number of database products, encyclopedias, and primary sources. You see our old office building when transport was still being done by boats in the Netherlands, and you see our current office, the main office in Leiden, where we have been based since our founding in 1683. A bit of more history here. I just want to draw your attention to the logo we still use, where you see two Greek gods, Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and Hermes, the god of trade, among other things. And we always try to find, as a commercial academic publisher, to find the balance between the two. The integrity of scholarly communication, and also the business sense that is needed to make it available around the world. We are quite strong in law, especially in international law, public law, private law, but especially also in humanitarian law, law of the seas and so on. And we acquired in 2003 this famous imprint, Nijhoff, which is now called Brill Nijhoff, and they were a leading publisher in that field. And we publish also the Hague Academy collected courses that are given by the Peace Palace in The Hague on international public and private law. What is our vision for India? We are here for two reasons. We have been around in India also for a while, but we were mainly just trying to sell all our publications to Indian libraries. Actually this week, tomorrow night with an event, we would like to relaunch the presence of Brill in India, and also look at it more as a two-way street. in the sense that we still want as many universities to have Brill publications in their collections, but we also want to establish relationships with the scholarly communication community in India. We want to engage with the scholarly community in India, and we want to help the community to disseminate the outcome of their research around the world. So we want to engage into co-publishing agreements. We want to engage in all sorts of collaborations with universities, and that is for us just as important as selling content into the library market. Therefore, we also look at our pricing. We are perceived as an expensive publisher, especially also in your market. Quality is expensive, but maybe our quality is a bit too expensive for this market, and we will have a very careful look at that. But partly we also already have a solution, and that is the online environment, where you can work with completely different prices and where you can give access to a large amount of access, such as e-book collections or journal collections, at very reasonable prices. But also at the print book prices we will have to come up. We do realize that with better business models. Also, we discussed that also briefly over lunch. Open access is a model that we have embraced. Everybody can publish in open access with Brill, whether it's a journal article or a book. And we are also happy to engage in open access arrangements with universities or with libraries. I want to say a little bit more about our vision, not only the vision for India, which I just explained, but also our vision for the whole world, and also why we feel that we are still relevant after 335 years. We think that today's problems and challenges don't need more technology to address them and solve them, but they need more humanity, they need more international law, and they need more social sciences. Also the fields you are teaching in, you are doing research in, and therefore we feel that Brill is actually as relevant as it could be in today's world, because we help the research community to study it, to publish in it, and that will definitely have a positive influence on solving all the issues like migration, like our relationship with technology, artificial intelligence. What is the relationship between that and a human? Those are the areas that should be addressed, we feel, and we are at the center of it. So thank you for your attention. I'm now handing over to my colleague Vincent, that will deal with the actual subject of this meeting, and that is how to publish with an international publisher. Vincent.
Yes, there we are. Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, scholars. Thank you for attending this session. We will talk today on how to publish with international publishers, and I'm here today to give you some perspectives from an academic publisher, how we as Brill look at it. So, as mentioned before, we traveled all the way from the Netherlands, from Leiden. I myself am from Leiden as well. Leiden is situated between Amsterdam, the capital of the Netherlands, and The Hague, well known for the Peace Palace and the International Court of Justice in The Hague. And I studied at Leiden University. I did my master's in Egyptology. and I have first year's degrees in Arabic and archaeology. And during my studies, I wondered as well, like, how do you actually publish your research? And unfortunately, I never had a course in that, so we hope as a publishing house to make that difference and give you some insights how we look at it. Here you see an image of Leiden University in 1575. Leiden University is the oldest university in the Netherlands, and the building you see on this image is actually still in use today and symbolizes Leiden University. Being situated in the same city, we have, of course, and we continue to have a very close relation to Leiden University, but as Peter has mentioned before, we're an international academic publisher, so we have a lot of cooperations with prestigious universities around the world. We're a long-time player, this has been mentioned, 1683. And as Peter has mentioned, besides having offices in Leiden, we have an office in Boston, Maribor, Singapore, and Beijing. And here you can see the logo together with the imprint Nijhoff, and one of the slogans we use is over 3 centuries of scholarly publishing. A little bit on the name of Brill. Brill got its name from Evert Jan Brill. He was an employee working for the publishing house, and when he took over, he changed the name of the company into Brill, and that's how we are still called today. Short, what do? We only publish high-quality academic publications. I will get back to that. And it's our mission to serve the scholarly community all over the world. And today, we are here to serve you. This has been mentioned. We do products in print and online. We have around 1,400 books, 280 type journals, and over 10,000 ebooks online. And besides books and journals, we have databases, reference works, encyclopedias, and primary sources. And here you can see the subject areas Brill is publishing in. The majority is in the humanities. We have social sciences. We have an important law section on human rights and humanitarian law and international law, and a little bit of biology and history of science. But today we are, of course, talking on how to publish with an international publishing house. And we work with around 30 publishers. And these publishers develop publishing lists and acquire or commission new projects in these 20 main subject areas. It's their role to appoint and oversee editors and editorial boards of journals and book series in the academic fields. And it's important, of course, for publishers to build and maintain a network of authors and editors. Our publishers try to keep up to date with all the developments in their relevant fields. So they are the main contact of an author at a publishing house. As mentioned, I think every young scholar or student faces a lot of questions while doing their research, but also when the research is done, questions like, how do I publish? Where do I start? What is the process of publishing? Does it cost me anything? How long will it take for my manuscript to be actually published with a publishing house? What do I have to write in a proposal? How do publishers then review my proposal? Will I get royalties for the work I deliver? How many copies will I get? And what are the benefits of publishing with this publishing house? Etc., etc. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go into detail in all these questions, of course, but I try my best to cover basically these main questions on how to publish. Needless to say, you can publish your work in a journal article form or in a book form, and the following slides will mainly deal with both types of academic research, but when it differs, I will make clear what the differences are. So the first step, I would recommend you to do is, of course, to do your homework. You are about to write an article or a manuscript, or you already finished an article or manuscript. I would recommend you to visit publishers' websites, find their catalogs, look what kind of products they are publishing, and also when you attend academic conferences, go to their booth, not only to see the books they have and to buy maybe a book for a good price with a conference discount, but usually publishers also send an editor to these conferences, and this is the right place to talk with these editors. What is the reputation of this publisher? What are their strengths? And of course, very important for a scholar, what is the target audience? So I highly recommend you to meet editors, talk with them, and also, of course, talk with your colleagues. What are their experiences with publishers? It's very important to learn differences between publishers. There are a lot of players out there. You have, of course, commercial and also university presses. We, Brill, are a commercial publishing house, but you have several famous university presses, and there are differences between them. Try to find out whether a publisher is a specialist in the field or whether they have more general publications. And very important, we touched upon this during lunch as well, what is the turnaround time for a publisher to publish your material? How does a publisher then publish your content? Is it only in print? Is it only online? Or do they publish both? And what is the quality of the publisher? Specifically for articles, we recommend as a publisher to choose a target journal. Search for several candidate journals, read the most recent articles, and I know that every scholar has a very busy agenda, so we at least recommend you to read abstracts. Try to find out what are the hot topics being published in this journal, what are the accepted types, etc. And ask yourself again the following questions. Is the journal peer-reviewed? Very important for the scholarly community. Who is the audience? How long will it take for your article to see it in print? And is it a prestigious journal? What is the reputation? What is the history of its journal? And what about its impact factor? Then, for approach, there is of course the difference between selection versus commissioning. In some cases, we as a publisher commission a certain type of publication, but in most cases, of course, we're dealing with selection. Again, I advise you in an early stage already to contact the publisher and try to discuss with them the proposal, at least with the publishing editor or maybe with a journal or series editor. Write the proposal, I will get back to that, and if applicable, fill in a questionnaire already. The more information a publisher has at the start, the more likely it will be accepted. And I highly recommend you to always contact the publisher for guidelines or check their websites. We, for instance, have a Brill's author guide. This is a PDF file which has all the information, what we would like to see in a proposal, what we expect from you as an author. And the advantage to read through these guidelines at an early stage is, of course, that it will save you a lot of time. Very often we see that someone submits an article or a manuscript, and then we have to tell them that we actually have a different citation in place, or we want the bibliography to be different. And then an author needs to redo all his citations, has to do his bibliography again, and we all know this is painstakingly work. So I recommend you check out the guidelines first, maybe even several guidelines, so you can see what scholarly academic publishers are expecting from you, and you can already then, while writing your article, take these guidelines into consideration. Then comes the proposal, and at Brill we asked for a 5 to 10 page proposal. This has to be submitted to the relevant acquisitions editor, and I'm sure that most publishing houses, like we, you can find the acquisitions editors on our website. So if you would go to brill.com, there is a section where you can find all the acquisitions editors with their email addresses and their specific subject area. What do you need to write in a proposal? We would like, of course, the title of your manuscript. We need some information on the author, some contact details, and a short CV. Then a short summary of the book, in which you clarify your research question, and please explain us what the significance is in relation to existing literature. Add a table of contents with a short summary of each chapter, and it's very helpful to describe the readership. What will be the market of your article? Needless to say, the expert in your field will want to read your article, but think interdisciplinary. Often, your article may be of interest for other fields as well, and the more people who read your material, the better. And then we ask, of course, some technical aspects. What will be the total word count? What is the number of images? What would be the size of your book, for instance? And then, maybe stating the obvious before sending it in. But this is for PhD dissertations. We write in a chapter into an article. Think of the style of writing. Often when you write a paper at a university or your thesis, it's a different style of writing than an actual manuscript or article. Often sharpen your introduction and conclusion. Again, check the submission guidelines, and don't forget to remove all references to your thesis or dissertation in case you are reworking a dissertation into a publication. Also fine-tune your bibliography, and check, of course, whether you have the copyright permissions of all the images you are using or the material. Don't hesitate to ask for help. In all cases, we highly recommend you to do a spell check and have someone else read your article or manuscript. It sounds very obvious, but as a publisher, we often receive proposals with a lot of mistakes. And I can guarantee you, if we receive a proposal with mistakes in it, we start to wonder if you also made mistakes in your academic research. It gives a bad impression. So make sure there are no spelling errors, have someone else read it, read over it again. My personal advice is always to print it out. You see more mistakes when you see a print copy than looking at the screen. And maybe again, needless to say, but make sure your submission is complete and in good order. We also receive a lot of proposals which are not complete. I've said it several times, but do check the publisher's instructions. Do you need to send the file only digital, or do you also have to hand in a print version? At Brill, we work with an online submission program called Editorial Manager. You can again read all about this at brill.com. This is an online system through which manuscripts and abstracts are sent towards us. In case you have funny characters or diagrams in your text, and I myself as an Egyptologist work a lot with transliterations and transcriptions, the font is on my computer, but if I send the file to a different computer, I don't have that font. It looks very weird. So we always recommend you in these cases also add the PDF so that the publisher sees what it should look like and not that they think, what is this kind of weird document? Needless to say, comply with publication ethics, and this is very important, we highly recommend you to only submit to one publisher at a time. Very often academics send a journal article to 20, 30, maybe 100 journals because they think the more we send it out, the higher the chances I get accepted. But for a publisher, we have to put time and money, we have to invest that in going through your abstracts. If we know that your abstract is also sent to 20 other publishers, we probably wait to see what the other 20 have said. And in case they didn't accept it, we wonder why we would accept it. So we highly recommend you please send it to one publisher at a time. In case it gets rejected, apply again. And how does that work, the peer review procedure? This is, of course, the academic system for checking the quality and the relevance of academic publications. At Brill, usually the peer review takes around 2 or 3 months for books and 4 to 6 weeks for journal articles. There are different forms of peer review. You have single peer review, double-blind, open and closed, and there are several other forms. At Brill, we use the double-blind peer review procedure. And this is a neutral expert facilitation by editors. So we appoint, the publisher is appointing editors and an editorial board, and they, as independent academics, go through your work. After this peer review, then the publisher decides what is the most commercial and strategic book series, for instance, to publish a book or a journal article. Sometimes an author would like to publish an article in a certain journal, and then the publisher says, well, maybe it's better to publish this article in a different journal because it has a wider reach, or because it's more interdisciplinary, etc. So how does it work at Brill? At Brill we have the double-blind peer review. This means it's a 2-tier review process. First, there is a peer review of your book proposal, and then there is a full manuscript peer review. The book proposal will first be evaluated by the publisher. In case this is deemed interesting and original, and it suits our publishing program, then it will be forwarded to an editorial board for evaluation. Once the editorial board accepts the proposal, the full manuscript will be asked, and then that will be sent out for peer review as well. This full manuscript will then be reviewed by 2 external experts. We will take away your name and affiliation, so we will make the manuscript blind, so to say. 2 external experts will do a review of your manuscript, and then these reports will be sent to Brill and evaluated by the publisher. The results. Of course, unfortunately, your manuscript could be declined, but in case it gets accepted, most often the publication is accepted with revisions. Only very rarely we go to immediate publication. Even with senior academics, we usually ask for small revisions. Maybe we would like some additional references, or we want to suggest a different order of the chapters. There are almost always some small revisions to be made. And we then send these reviewer reports and the results to you for your own revision. By having a double peer review in place, we of course also hope for you to get the academic research to be improved. Unfortunately, I heard a couple of days ago that some publishers just decline a proposal and say, we're not taking it. We at Brill try our very best to explain you why we're not taking in your proposal, in case you did your homework and you did the proposal the way we think you should do it. Very often publications are rejected not because the academic research has not been done in a proper way, but because it's not suitable, for instance, for the publishing house. It has to be in line with the publication program, it has to be relevant, yeah, I would recommend you not to get sad and dismotivated if the first couple publishing houses may reject your article or manuscript. It doesn't have to mean that you didn't do proper research. In case your manuscript or article gets accepted, there comes the legal part. In case of a book manuscript, we will draft a contract. In case of an article, there will be a consent to publish. and this also applies for contributions in edited volumes. In this contract, we will make arrangements with you, and one of the possibilities, and this has been mentioned by Mr. Peter as well, is to publish your article in open access, and then we will also sign a Creative Commons license. So what do we put in a contract? Of course, the delivery date of your manuscript, your final manuscript, but also our delivery date as a product. What will be the length in words? How many illustrations will be there? The contract will talk about copyright. One of the questions you should always ask yourself, of course, is like, what about the author and funder copyright? Will you retain it or not? How many free copies will you get of your manuscripts? Will there be any royalties? And what are the other benefits? For instance, can you get a discount at the publications of that publishing house? And what is the room for negotiation? In case we will publish your book, we will discuss the delivery and format. Then we will ask you to fill in an author questionnaire, again with some biographic information, so we can use this in marketing materials to promote your publication. The book will then be sent for typesetting. You will receive a first proof, and you will get some time to go over this proof. And one important thing is, of course, you yourself can also speed up the publication of your manuscript. Very often we receive a proof and then we send it to the author, and then we have to wait for weeks and weeks and weeks to get the proof back. And this, of course, delays the publication as well. After a second proof has been accepted, the book will go into production. And fortunately, nowadays, with printing on demand, this can be quite fast. The book will be officially published, and then one of the things we do is to try to preserve it as well. So all the books we publish at Brill are also sent to the Royal Library in the Netherlands for the unlikely event that Brill ceases to exist. One of your copies at least will be preserved at a different institution. This is, of course, mainly for print, and nowadays we have a lot of online and digital ways to preserve your material, but it's also important when you are looking for a publishing house, what do they do to preserve your material? What will happen in case this publisher ceases to exist? The publication of an article is quite similar. The delivery and format will be discussed. Then copy editing will be taken place for these journal articles. For the online versions, we will collect some metadata elements, what will be keywords, etc. people could use for online searching. It will be sent to a typesetter. A proof will be sent, and you can make corrections in that proof. And then it will be taken into production, publication, and again, preservation. As mentioned before, at Brill we have the Brill's author guide. In case you are interested in receiving this author guide, please send us an email at sales-india@brill.com, and we will send you the PDF in which we explain what we, as Brill academic publisher, expect from you when you send in a proposal or your manuscripts. Nowadays we have a lot of social media, of course, so you can stay connected with us. You can go to brill.com/email-newsletters to subscribe to one of our newsletters, and you can of course follow us on Twitter and Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, and thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions, you can ask them, or obviously send us an email. Thank you very much.
Great. Questions?
I actually have two questions. First is, does Brill have its own citation site? Or do they use one of the other accepted citation sites? Well, that's one. My second point is there a particular reason why you prefer not having a reference to the fact that it's very different PhD thesis or a working paper?
To get back to your last question, if we publish your PhD dissertation, we publish it as a book, as a manuscript, and not as a PhD dissertation. We believe there's a clear distinction between a PhD dissertation, which you hand in to your supervisors, they will grade it, and you will be rewarded, hopefully with a PhD degree. For us, we publish academic manuscripts and works, so this, I would say, is the next step.
No, I understand. The reason I'm asking is sometimes the university wants the recognition that the initial draft, even though it's much worked upon afterwards, but the initial draft was a PhD thesis for a particular university. So is that something for, when you put in the first footnote and the details for the author, is that something which is acceptable?
Yeah, of course. Yes. But what I refer to is that in your text itself, and again, yeah, maybe stating the obvious, you should remove all the references to thesis or further in my thesis, I refer to this and that. But we still see this a lot. I mean, it happens a lot that we receive a PhD dissertation that is not edited. So, but we do, we are always interested in the research PhD students are doing. After all, you're the future in the scientific world. And in some cases, we do publish PhD dissertations, yes, after being reworked. The first question you had was on citations. This difference for journals. We have over 280 journals. So again, I recommend you check the guidelines, check with the journal editor or book series editor. We have a lot of different subject fields, so it's not standard. Yes, exactly.
Question related to the conversion of PhD thesis into a book. Normal practice in the university is that the theses are submitted to the repository, electronic repository, they are available. So will there be an impact on plagiarized content or something like that when the publisher checks to publish a book? Most of it will be available online already as contents in some of the form.
Yeah, that's why, to be honest, we usually aim at post-PhD level, but it depends. I mean, copyright has to stay in place as long as the work itself is not plagiarized work, then we can still publish it. I think very often I see this in academia myself. A lot of people write a big PhD thesis for their degree, and then it ends up somewhere in the library of the university, but it's not shared with the academic community. So we do encourage people to publish their PhD dissertation so that you did not only do your work for a degree, but you did it for science.
You spoke about publishing plans and such, where different publishing houses have different plans and different ways of approaching the market, etc. So could you tell us a little bit about, other than the newsletter, say, where would you be able to, say, get an idea about what the publishing plan for a particular publishing houses or for a particular publishing journal is?
Actually, this comes two ways. On one hand, our publishers are really checking what the academics do. In case we see that in a certain field, a certain topic becomes really popular and it becomes a hot topic, then of course we as a publishing house are really interested to move towards that direction. Another example can be a more commercial background, that we as a publisher take over another publisher, and they have certain subject areas that we did not have before. An example of that is Brill acquired a publishing house called Sense, and they did educational research. This was a new subject area for Brill, so then we started to look into educational research, and we want to expand on that subject area. So it's a little bit of both worlds, actually. But it's always interesting to dive into new areas. The main question for us is, of course, is it relevant? If it's relevant for the academic world that these subject areas are touched upon, then we're really willing, of course, to publish in these areas.
Yes, please. What's your royalty payment offer like? Royalty payment?
The royalties. We don't have a standard policy on royalty between the publisher and the author. And of course it depends on the status of the academic person. Will he be a so-called bestseller or not? But this is a one-to-one case. I cannot say this is what we do on royalties.
Okay, and the copyright will be with me, right? To be mine.
So yeah, we discussed this earlier as well. I mean, you as an author will always remain the copyright of your text. You are the one who wrote it. But in case the document has been turned into a real book and it has been copy edited and typeset, etc., then there are some restrictions, because what we see now often is that an author will publish with us and then immediately put their manuscript on academia online. Then there is no commercial benefit for us anymore, of course. So what we then often have in place is an embargo.
Yeah. For a period of time.
A period of time, indeed, before an author can publish the article or the manuscript.
Excellent.
Yes. Yes. Again, I think this is a very mutual understanding. I mean, yes, you can always, as an author, put your text on your website, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. But what we facilitate as an academic publisher is this peer review process and typesetting, and of course, making it into a professional, high-quality publication. And in order to be able to do that, yeah, we have these embargoes in place.
Sorry, I'm just struggling with quality, because to determine quality is a measure of difficult. Now, in the sense that you, in fact, contribute to this to make it a high quality text, because I think that all scholars need a high quality text because of peer review and all these things. So, if you could elaborate on that, in terms of where you want the author to be, and then
yeah, so referring to high quality, we mean with high quality several things. First of all, if we talk about print, the quality of the book. Yes, you have hardcover and hardcover. Some hardcovers, and we all experience this as hard copy quality available, so that it can be used in libraries by hundreds of people, and that your book, after hundreds of years, will still be there without cracks and without falling apart. So this is one part of the quality we try to assure. And as it may sound very straightforward, but it's not so much anymore. Printing became cheaper and cheaper, but also the quality of a lot of bindings became cheaper, and that's not the quality we stand for. So Brill, most of the books are published in hard copy, hardback, and only a couple of them are published in paperback, because we feel that we need the best quality. That's one part. On the other hand, of course, the quality of the academic work, what I try to say with that is that because we have this double peer review in place, and we try, of course, to be connected with the best academics possible. So we're going out in the field and we try to get the high, and if the book is published with us, it has been gone through a good critical peer review, so that the quality is good.
Until Brill starts publishing its own Indian or South Asian editions, does it allow any agreements with, say, an Indian press to publish a cheaper edition a year or two after the book comes out?
Yeah, that's as Mr. Peter has mentioned, that these are things with
international publishing, something that we have been doing from the library side also. I think the publishers also see it from the point of view of the market, whether they will sell enough copies. So, for example, if you are adopting a book published internationally as a textbook in a class, probably we can negotiate with a local representative, for Indian reprint. So, I think that can help, and probably we can do that also.
Some
university presses commission a series. Cambridge has commissioned a series of public policy as appointed editors, invites manuscripts, and so on. So do you have such series where you've got editors and commission them to solicit?
Yes, yeah, and that's why I mentioned it in the presentation as well.
You said that's more selection.
In terms of abstracts, etc., it's more often that authors come to us or a conference and that they say we want to publish the proceedings or I want to publish my book with you. But it does happen that we commission and we think like, okay, this would be a very nice new subject within a certain subject area, and we go out to the authors and say like, can't you write a book for us? And that's also what I meant with the delivery time. It's not only our promise to you to deliver on time, it's vice versa as well. And in case we commission, then we ask you to write it within a specific time. But yes, we do commission.
Yeah, I'm talking about a series.
Also, yeah, also book series, journals, yes. Yeah. Yeah, the majority of the books we publish are in book series. But we also commission, indeed, we start a new series and then we need titles for that series and then we commission works.
With this, we come to a conclusion of this workshop, and I'd like to thank Mr. Vincent Cortez for such a useful workshop for the faculty, for our students, and hopefully they will find it very beneficial in their future publications. And also, I would like to thank Mr. Bobo, the CEO of Brill, and Mr. David Elaine for coming all over to our place. And so, thank you so much.
You can visit the library. I just want to add, I want to give a special word of thanks to our IT department, because at very short notice they agreed to attempt to live stream this so that many faculty who couldn't come here in person can access what you said on YouTube and see it later. So thanks very much. Thank you very much. Peter, you can put your stuff in this. Thank you very much. Thank you.